shocked. We're really very pleased that we beat ecstatic, that we beat St. Louis. We can be ecstatic that we beat St. Louis, but we really haven't accomplished anything yet. Our goal is to win the Stanley Cup, and we're only halfway there.
I really think it's going to be a series like Vancouver, a muck and grind type style. We have to be ready for it.
The Campbell Conference Final gets underway on Tuesday night from the...
No firsthand, having been in 3 7-game series in the past 2 years. Few events in sports are more pulsating than the 7th game of a Stanley Cup series. And nobody is more qualified to talk about them than members of the Philadelphia Flyers. They won 7 games with the Capitals last year and 7 with the Islanders and Edmonton Oilers in 1987.
The excitement of playing the game is to have pressure-packed situations, and the 7th game is obviously, you know, it's pressure-packed, you can get it, and, you know, everything's on the line for that game, and it's a do or die, and it's a good situation to be in.
And it's tough to sleep in the afternoon. You don't really get too much sleep, and you're ready. You want to go. You have a kind of this urge to get it over with.
One of the most gratifying 7-game series for the Flyers culminated at the Spectrum in April 1987. The Philadelphians stopped a surging Islander team in its tracks after dropping games 5 and 6. Emotion was on Philly's side thanks to the return of injured captain Dave Poulin.
When he did come back, he really contributed, and he was like our spark plug. He came back, and everyone seen the courage he was showing, and that, you know, got everyone pumped up and got our whole team excited.
I can remember being incredibly revved up before the game and just hoping to contribute in some way, and I think that we came out really charged up. And then the thing that stands out in my mind the most was taking a pass from Hexie at center ice shorthanded and looking over and thinking I had one man to beat and realizing it was Brian Propp, and it was a 2-on-0 on Kelly Rudy from that point in, and Proppy and I managed to get that one by him, and from that point on we were on our way.
Nothing is more exciting than for an underdog team to come from behind and tie a series at 3 apiece, forcing a 7th game in the finals. The Flyers did that against the Edmonton Oilers in 1987.
You know, any 7th game you're going to be nervous, but we also felt confident. We're on a roll. We, you know, had come back somewhat deficit in the series, and we even got the lead goal. We scored the first goal of the game, and we all thought that, you know, that was going to be our year, but things, you know, just didn't go for us that game.
The other games before, you know, we had nothing to lose attitude, but now we had one game. Hey, we can win the Stanley Cup, and when we started to think that, I think we got nervous. The first period we were okay, but then as the Edmonton came on, we couldn't. Like I said, our legs weren't there because we were very nervous. So we had a young hockey club. So hopefully next time if we ever in that position, we'll know guys like Messi and Gretzky. You know, they understand those moments.
All right, Stan.
Underway. Keep in mind the Flyers will have to kill off 48 seconds of the existing minor to Dave Poulin for hooking. We'll be right back with the start of the second period after this.
Travel arranged through Northwest Airlines, which proudly introduces the most comfortable plane to the Orient, the state-of-the-art 747-400. Northwest, the most experienced airline across the Pacific.
Should have heard it.
Don Koharski is the referee for tonight's game. There were only 3 7th games in the playoffs last year. Koharski had them all, and it's a real honor for a referee to be selected to work the most important game of a playoff series. As you see, the 2 goaltenders, both of whom have been splendid in this first 20 minutes of action.
They have. Tom Barrasso left 1 rebound and had a couple of people commit the wrong way. That's what cost the Penguins, but other than that, Barrasso has been strong. Ken Reagan, you can't say enough about him. In the situation that he has been placed, he has been awesome.
Well, you look at his record, it includes a goals against average in the playoffs of 2.87, less than a 3, and all of that with the Toronto team that, while he was there, never got out of its division. Offside pass stops the clock, 36 seconds to go on the power play.
And the only other playoff action he's been in this year was here in Game 5, the 10-7 game. He stopped 9 shots in that one, played well. Only was in 3 regular season games with the Flyers. Has not played a lot of hockey. He has practiced a lot of hockey, but there is a big difference between practice and playing. Perhaps somebody didn't tell Ken Reagan that. He's been great tonight.
Just 1 complete game as a Flyer, and that was a win over his old team, the Maple Leafs, at the Spectrum on March the 19th, 7-5. He braces for this assault generated by Paul Coffey. Coffey centers one across to Lemieux. Lemieux sets up now where he normally does, at that left circle. Then to Coffey, centered one in front, ricocheted, bounced off to go on the power play. Zarley Zalapski deals it back over to Quinn. Catches Zalapski in stride for the blast around the boards. It comes over near Prop. But it is Brown, canceled out by Howe. Out of the box. To take this one was Dave Poulin, but it went off his stick. Zalapski across to play for the Penguins, leads it back out with 1 minute gone here in the second period. It is dumped in on Ken Regan. We'll tell those of you who have just joined us that Ron Hextall is unable to play in this game tonight due to a first-degree sprain of his right knee. That was an injury he suffered in the 6th game, was okay yesterday, but today it really tightened up on him. He couldn't play, and Mark LaForest is the backup to Ken Regan. Regan slugs this one around, and it is Cullen. Cullen pivoting away from the hook check of Bullard. Flips one that came to Chikrin. Drills it back around, and the fans here start to chant, "Let's go Pens." Puck drilled back in, and it is stopped by Regan. Tended for Kartner. Rolled along to Mike Bullard. Bullard switches one ahead that went off of Sinisalo. He goes down on the lean of Dineen. Forced back around by Barrasso. Off of Phil Bourque, but taken by Cullen, and he moves back out. John Cullen with Callender the trailer. Now they part, and Callender went in too early, and so offside is called, and Cullen is steamed about that one.
Well, you know why he's steamed, Mike. Cullen is saying, I never took the puck over the line. I think he's wrong. I think it went over the line, but John Cullen had a pretty good look at it. But if it doesn't ever go across the line, obviously there's no offside. So that was Cullen's beef. It's a long look at it, but let's see right here. Right there is where I thought it went across the line.
Has to be all the way across for the call to be made, and Ron Finn was right there, drawing on the most experience of any linesman in the game today to make that call.
Keep your TV microscope ready to go. Boy, this is such a fast-moving game, and that puck is only 1-by-3.
We have played a shotless first 2 minutes of this second period. Flyers ahead in the game 1-0 on a goal by Brian Propp, who has been sensational in the playoffs for Philadelphia. Puck dealt along now by Murphy, but that one flipped on by the Flyers' Mike Bullard, and it's turned back along to Cunnyworth. Cunnyworth hooked up by Murphy and goes down. Right back to Cunnyworth it came, but it's flexed away by Murphy, and countering now is Busquets. Busquets dropped that one away from Rick Tocchet. Cut off, though, by Murphy, and Murphy spun one, but into Zalapski. Zalapski tipped one back out. Murphy able to bunt it ahead, and here comes Mike Bullard. Watched by Zalapski. Bullard drives one on, and hit the outside of the net near the right post. Brought right back up by Cunnyworth, but lost again to Gord Murphy. He's got Propp ahead and flips one to him that is guided in, and then Propp was really hit hard by Cunnyworth, and there'll be a penalty coming up. Delayed call is against the Flyers. It is Cunnyworth. Stevens back on to Cunnyworth, and now we get the penalty call. High sticking is the call, and it will be Brian Propp who will head to the penalty box. Pittsburgh power play in a moment.
Retinitis pigmentosa knows no age, an eye disease that affects young and old alike. RP slowly narrows your vision, often resulting in blindness. There's no cure for RP yet, but it doesn't have to be that way. Your support of the RP Foundation could be the great save for thousands of people. RP needs your help. I'm Wayne Gretzky. Support the RP Foundation.
I really thought it was going to be Randy Cunnyworth off, but Brian Propp got the stick up on him as Cunnyworth was charging into him. Don Koharski didn't have really... He didn't have a bad look at it. He was right beside the action. It'll be right at the top of your screen. Randy Cunnyworth moving over to Brian Propp. Cunnyworth hits him with his arms down. Where's the high stick?
It must have been as Cunnyworth met him.
Must have been.
The only way that I think from that distance that our camera was located that we could tell, but it appeared Propp brought his stick partway up when Cunnyworth was right nearby, and from that point on, from the hit on, it seemed down. Pittsburgh to go on their fourth power play. Neither team has gotten a power play goal in the game tonight. 1-0 Flyers ahead, early going second period. If you're just joining us, the puck to Brown, feeds over to Lemieux. Lemieux back to Coffey. One-timer, oh, and it ricocheted off the post and went wide. Brought back out now by Dave Poulin. He's got Ron Sutter breaking in, hands to him. Wrist shot, fought away by Barrasso. Rebound tapped wide. Stepping back for it is Sutter. Wants to get it out and shake it away to play some four corners, and that's what'll work. Samuelson then on to Mark Howe. Banks it back off to the turning Dave Poulin. Poulin then to Sutter again. They lay it right back to Samuelson. Drills it back down with 1:20 to go on the power play.
Looks like Ron Sutter's got that Tasmanian devil locked up inside his body again tonight, and when he is ready to roll, there is nothing that can stop him.
Paul Coffey pivots, lays the pass over to Quinn. It is Coffey once more to take it. Then to Quinn again. Side of the net, it is Brown. Puck played between Coffey and Quinn, and now for Brown, but it went right through him. Lemieux behind, tries to get loose and pats one on back to Coffey. Coffey watched and fires one. It popped up in the air at the front of the net. Around it comes toward Lemieux. He's able to control away, not once but twice from Mark Howe's reach. Then Coffey across for Johnson, and he fired it through the crease wide. Hoping to collect at the front was Brown. They work it to the back, and Coffey over to Lemieux. It drives! Oh!
There was token argument from Ken Reggett. He was being bowled over as that shot was coming to him. But the Penguins have had to rely on very simple shots, and this was just a blast through a screen. See Ken Reggett going down. Well, Samuelson was pushing Rob Brown. That's why Don Koharski is going to allow this goal. But look at the crowd that Lemieux shot through. That pretty well clearly showed that Samuelson pushed Rob Brown. So the Penguins power play finally gets one through a crowd. But they have tied the score at 1.
Coffey and Johnson get the assist. Now it's Murphy shoveling one, and that one tipped high to the glass by Barrasso. Tocchet through the check that resulted in the puck popping loose. All the way to Murphy it came. Then to Tocchet. Tried to center, and that blocked away. Dave Hannon takes it, rolls it along, and Loney knocked down by Wells, but not until he sent it down. Icing will be the call. The clock stopped with 15:08 to go in the second. It's the Flyers 1 and the Penguins 1.
To understand Asia, you have to understand its customs, its mystery, its people. You have to know what makes a good impression and what offends. For over 40 years, we've been learning about Asia. So in addition to our convenient schedules, we can give you something no other U.S. airline can. The knowledge that comes after 40 years of helping people do business in Asia.
As the Penguins cheer their team on, more bad news for the Flyers. Keith Acton has been taken to the hospital with a possible ruptured spleen. He will obviously not be back tonight. Mike Bullard will now get a regular shift. He had been platooning quite a lot with Keith Acton in this series and all playoffs long, but you'll see a lot of number 10. Hope the injury is not that serious to Keith Acton.
A lot of guys are either hurt or playing hurt on both teams as Ron Sutter fought his way right into Barrasso. Puck turned along by Cullen, came right to Prop. Prop with a shot that was blocked away by Zalewski. Feathered around by Sutter to Tocchet. Tocchet out in front for Prop, had to hurry one. And it's brought back up by the Penguins, and on with it is Callender. Callender crisscrossing with Bourque. Callender pivots, has Busquets breaking. Backhands one toward a pile, but it's blocked right away by Chychrun. Around now to Cullen, who centered. And all the way to the boards to Callender. His shot went wide. Cullen a drive. Oh, and it's trapped off. And held by Ken Reggett, who just got to that post in time. And Bourque is down on all fours. Well, they tend to him. We'll tell you, 14:35 to go in the second. Our game is tied at 1. Pause for a regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Michael Pavanka, Washington Capitals. Power play.
In business, it's survival of the fittest.
George & Company, big and tall men's shops. The best fit.
The channel you cheer for, home team sports.
A penalty to Jeff Chikrin will give the Penguins their 5th power play. It is cross-checking to Chikrin.
You can see Phil Bourque right through that hole, lying face down. And I pointed this out a lot, but you got to repeat it again. One of the problems of approaching a player from behind is the only place you can hit him is in the back. And it makes so much sense to get your stick out there in front of you so that you can give him a tap rather than hitting him with your body. It's called a lot. It should be called a lot, and it just has to do with body position. It's a tough play to check somebody from behind quickly.
Here's Coffey firing, and it went off the glass. Around it came to Zalapski. Turned one to Lemieux. He's got Brown, but the pass was behind him to Quinn. Quickly over to Zalapski. Drive deflected away. Lemieux tries to scoop it up. Wanted to come around for the stuffer. Tried it, but Samuelson blocked. Back up ice with it. Now comes Dave Poulin. 25 seconds of penalty killing time gone as Poulin tries to shake by Zalapski and is chased right off. Dan Quinn starts it back, and keep in mind now that 2 players are still back down the ice. This is a 4-on-3 for right now. Crumpled back down the ice is Zalapski. Poulin was trying to get away from Zalapski. We looked back up ice and did not know what happened, but Zalapski is down. Skip Thayer, the trainer for the Penguins, coming out to tend to him.
You can't imagine what a loss this would be to the Penguins. If you just saw that one-on-one, you saw why Zalapski is one of the brilliant young talents in the NHL. Dave Poulin's got great speed. Poulin tried to go wide, and Charlie Zalapski was able to track him down.
We'll return to Civic Arena in Pittsburgh with the score 1-1. No break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel. Penguins are steamed. They are on a power play and thought there should have been a 5-on-3. Thought there should have been a call to Dave Poulin. Zalapski went down, but apparently none of the officials saw whatever it was that Poulin did, but the Penguins were plenty upset about it. So it remains a 5-on-4 power play. See Gene Ubriaco, the rookie coach of the Penguins, opposing the rookie coach of the Flyers, Paul Holmgren, both of them coaching their first ultimate games of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Coffey turns it back over to Johnson, who bangs it back in deep. Set up by Reggett. Howe is there and jams it on his backhand right back out. 1:10 to go on the power play. 13:45 to go, second period. Klopp scored in the first for the Flyers. Lemieux answered on the power play in the second for the Penguins. Puck brushed away by Dave Poulin. Starts back up ice and is watched by Johnson. Poulin trying to fight his way through, but can't. Puck shuffled off of Brian Propp and drilled back out by Brown. Lemieux can't get the handle the first time, but Mario Lemieux is able to walk ahead. Flips over for Brown. Then back to Coffey. Over for Johnson. Then to Lemieux. Johnson once more. Over to Coffey. Fires one that went right into the skate boot of Propp. He locks up with Johnson. A 2-on-1 for the Flyers. Poulin and Howe with Coffey, the lone man back. It's a Poulin. He scores! Dave Poulin with his 28th career shorthanded goal. And never has there been a bigger one than this one right here, which has broken the tie. The Flyers lead 2-1.
What a perfect setup from Mark Howe. Once again, the Flyers keep the Penguins' power play on the perimeter. They blocked a shot. That led to this breakup, and Mark Howe was so quick to sense, to read the play, to move up on the play. But watch this pass. This is a shootable pass. That was not a pass just to get it over to him. Dave Poulin blasted home right on the ice between Tom Barrasso's legs, and the Flyers lead 2-1. The Flyers penalty killers, in spite of the fact that the Penguins have a power play goal tonight, I still think have had a dominant first half of this hockey game.
Well, the 3 guys that have been together those 6 years figure in the scoring of this one. Poulin, his second shorthanded goal of the series. Howe and Propp get the assist at 6:57. Still 28 seconds of power play time left to the Penguins. A delay because of something that has been tossed on the ice. Something that has shattered. And so they'll have to get a rink attendant out to deal with this with a shovel here. When we come back, Flyers in the lead by 1. Penguins have the manpower by 1. Here from Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Poulin and Prop have scored.
An important message for you, Minicky. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler, you fool.
Hey, good news. I predict I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
Don't worry. At Meineke, you get quality Everlast mufflers from just $18.93 installed.
This is what I've been saying, you idiot. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler. Speak better.
You're not going to pay a lot for quality at Meineke.
See the Flyers bench. The far right, barely visible there as Kurt Muntz, the equipment manager, comes by. You see Mark LaForest leaning in. He's directly above Paul Holmgren on your screen. LaForest went to the Hershey Bears the last week of the regular season and has been fantastic. And you see him firing up the troops down at the bench and then cracking a smile. He only had suffered 1 loss during his stint in Hershey, going into this second-round series that they are having currently with Detroit's farm team in Adirondack. They won the first 3 games, but Adirondack has come back to take the next 3, and LaForest may wind up going to Glens Falls to play in that deciding game on Sunday night.
He didn't get here early enough to take in the Pirates game last night. About 15 Flyers saw the Pirates shut out the San Francisco National League team. And it wasn't much of a game. The Giants couldn't do much, and the Pirates didn't do much more, they said, other than score a run. But Mark LaForest was being called up anyway, Mike, after Game 6, where Ron Hextall sprained his knee. Paul Holmgren fully expected to be able to use Hextall tonight, but just in case, Bobby Clark decided to call Trees back up from Hershey, and the just in case turned out to be a real thing, so Mark LaForest arrived today. The Flyers didn't practice yesterday. They had a day off, and they really looked like a loose, happy team this morning at the morning skate. Some players skated, some didn't. Back of Momantha is pacing up and down on one of the runways. That's ice level, glass level, so he sneaks up to the glass and checks. It looks like he's ready to go. He's got one of his sticks there. I mean, don't worry, Mo, you're not going to be able to use it tonight, but
it's something to do.
Yeah.
Mo chatting, very friendly guy, but he knows a lot of the people here from his stint here with the Penguins. Now the play will continue after the Poulin shorthanded goal that has broken this tie. The Penguins with 23 seconds to go, a power play, and that one was off Lemieux and off his stick and bunted right back ahead to be cleared, as Reggett saw an opportunity there to break down Lemieux after Lemieux could not control. Back up ice now, it is Zalewski handing on to Paul Coffey. Coffey fires one, and that deflected into the catching glove of Reggett, and he'll just hang on. Don Koharski finally blows the whistle and may very well decide to give Reggett the first warning. Koharski, like some officials, will usually give you at least 1 crack so that you have an idea on how he's going to call it.
Well, you know, Ken Reggett, as we mentioned, has not played a lot with the in-game situation, so he's trying to get signals straight and get communication straight with his defenseman. I think Mark Howe wanted that puck. I think Mark Howe wanted it because he was going behind, and if he let it go, Mark Howe would have been out of the zone. Here's the pass that didn't click for the Penguins. But now with 2 seconds to go on this power play, the Flyers have to contend with a face-off in their zone. So communication builds, and they work on their pattern and their system as this game unfolds, because Reggett has not had enough game experience to really know how all the defensemen want him to react.
Boy, there's a lot of important talk out there. They're far different goaltenders. Anyone is from Hextall. Brown with a drive, and that one went wide of a leaping Lemieux. Penalty time is up, and the puck brushed back out beyond Chychrun's reach. Sutter goes for it, but it's deflected across from Coffey to Brown, and Rob Brown just directs it back down the ice. They say no icing on this play, so it's Samuelson getting it to the pivoting Sutter, and then along as Rick Tocchet tries to stagger by. Tocchet a backhander, and that directed away by Barrasso. Sutter back to Samuelson. His shot is blocked away by Hillier. Back up ice with it is Brown. 12:05 to go, second period. Flyers ahead in the game 2-1 as Brown punched one right into the glove of Reggett, and he'll wait. Shots in the period 6 for the Penguins, and for the Flyers 4.
One of the challenges of this game was the challenge of focus. Here's Rob Brown just snapping one between Samuelson's legs. But in a Game 7, there's so many distractions. You can even have too much adrenaline, butterflies. There's a lot of pressure, there's no question. And the challenge early is focus. Be able to not let these things distract you and pull you away from your game. Both teams pretty well passed the test through just about 30 of the 60 minutes.
Off the face-off to a side battle, and Bullard able to fling it away. Then it's chipped back out by Tim Kerr, who's not really seen too much action in this game. Puck spun back along, and Kerr is right there. Knocked from him, but on with it now comes Mark Howe. Dances away from one. Howe flips one, and then took a high hit from Jimmy Johnson. Puck chipped along by Stevens, and he has to deal it further, getting it up to Dan Quinn, who allows Johnson to take it. The drop is to Quinn, who carries. He's got Stevens in flight. Dan Quinn just pivoting. Now a wrist shot, and that trapped to the chest and held by Ken Reggett, and then Cunnyworth in a heap with Ilka Sinisalo in the corner.
That was a pretty good play by Dan Quinn. You see what happens when you're able to cross the blue line and you're given enough time to let things break down. Dan Quinn crossed, and the Flyers defense backed in, and he started moving diagonally across as soon as the Flyers defense started backing in. Watch this. See Quinn, as soon as he saw that he had the blue line, you bet, turn right and go straight across the ice. Gordon Murphy made a good play by following him, but you can see that by that time, the big advantage is this. Once you move across the ice, you know when you get the shot on goal that if you got any kind of guys out there that are trying to win, they're going to be at the net waiting for a rebound. Cunnyworth was there and Stevens was there.
You had a chance to see Ken Reggett's helmet mask, which he pulled right off. He has no straps on it. Remember about 10 years or so ago that it happened to Ken Dryden in the playoffs that his mask was knocked off. And eventually he gave up a goal on the play that resulted. And he said, boy, did I feel disoriented. My mask was off. I knew it was. And it was a feeling that really left me just completely paralyzed in there. I just didn't feel like I was playing goal, and I got beat.
Boy, here's a missed call, Mike. A complete missed call. The puck looked like it was going to be an automatic icing, and just before Collins put his arm up, and that's when Ron Finn was going to blow his whistle, he waved it off. You know why? Because Barrasso played it. Ron Finn blew it down anyway, and the play will come back to center. So kind of a saw-off. Watch this. See Collins? He's in the middle top of your screen. He's the linesman. Barrasso touches. Collins there puts his arms out to the side, but I guess in Ron Finn's defense, it almost looked like his arms were going to go up there. It has to be a quick call. The puck was right beside the net.
As is always the case on an official's goof, there is a center ice face-off rather than the one at the other end. Puck picked up by Busquets. Has Cullen, drops it in on the goaltender Ken Reggett, who steered it away. Now it's Chychrun, but off Tocchet. Unable to get it is Zalapski, and help has to come from Barrasso, who shoved it along. Now in this tie-up, the puck pops back to be brought back up by Busquets, who allows it to be taken by Zalapski. Zalapski wants to get a step on Partner. Forced behind the net, though. Zalapski looks to the outside. He's got Bork in front. That one kicked out by Reggett. Turn around, and Callender got it over to Bork. Not enough traffic for Bork to escape there as it's generated by Partner, but picked up by Callender. Callender deals it back off, and here's John Cullen with it. Cullen pivoting as down went Sutter. Cullen still with it. Backhands in front, and Callender a weak toss. And able to force it away as Reggett. Now Cullen centered one in front. Down to the ice goes Bork. There'll be a penalty coming up to the Flyers.
Boy, that pressure is as good a pressure as the Penguins have created as a result of their forechecking in this entire series. They're a team that relies on the rush. They rely on their defensemen to bring the puck up the ice. Paul Coffey, Zarley Zalapski. They score on the rush as opposed to the turnover, but this line out here now with Bork, Callender, and John Cullen, a bunch of grinders that are just happen to be here, have drawn a penalty. The Flyers lead 2-1, but they're going to have to kill one here. Right, let's take a look at this pressure. You see Tocchet 22, Sutter 14 for the Flyers. They got all kinds of people back in there. Callender was cross-checked down, but here's the penalty on number 29 in white, right there. It's called a hook to Terry Carter. Bodies were flying everywhere. And it's not going to stop until this baby ends. 2-1 Flyers lead. They've got to kill one now.
Penguins getting their 5th consecutive power play in the game. In the Washington series, the Flyers were guilty of taking 4 straight penalties twice and 5 straight that resulted in power plays once. So here is their second 5-bagger. Penguins have scored on one of them. The first in this period to Prop. As Kartner sits, you saw Samuelson close up, puck back to Coffey. Looks to Zalapski, but will hold himself. Then to Lemieux. At the front is Kevin Stevens as it's worked to the outside to Coffey, then Lemieux. Hurries it across. Zalapski, a shot that ricocheted off of Samuelson, and a one-time attempt by Lemieux failed. Outletted by Ron Sutter and tapped back in by Poulin. Now and Samuelson remain the defense, but now Sutter is off and Prop is on to work with Poulin. Ahead with it comes Paul Coffey, tries to get by around in front. Oh, and a save made by Reggett.
What a brilliant stop by Kenny Reggett after a brilliant skate save on his own rush by Coffey. Crossed the line and the Flyers poked him there. He pulled it up with his skate right there, cut around Ken Reggett and tried to pop it over him. But Reggett was there again. Watch Coffey's right skate. Right there, he caught it with the toe. And except for that play by Coffey, he was stopped, but he got in. Great save by Ken Reggett. Boy, oh boy, you can't say enough about the effort that Reggett has put together here. He is halfway through a hockey game that came as a surprise to him. 24 hours ago, I know he didn't think he'd be in here, but he has held tough. The Penguins have 20 shots on him, and they've only gotten one by, and in that one he was toppling over because Robbie Brown was right next to him, and the shot came through a screen.
Ron Sutter playing with a bandage above one eye, it appears. It is Coffey, Lemieux, and that one blocked away by Reggett and then trapped as it came back off the glass. Now short John Cullen and tall Shel Samuelson push a bit. 37 seconds gone on the Penguins power play.
Here's the kind of shot the Penguins usually look for, that cross-ice pass on the one-timer. But you saw Reggett shuffling across step by step. He was in perfect position by the time Lemieux shot it. Watch Reggett. See him move across, took 2 steps, and then finally went down with the leg.
Every goaltender you talk to says there's nothing like being in games to sharpen your game. This guy hasn't been in one, except for just brief stints in Game 5 of this series since all the way back to the month of March.
And I think he's made good decisions as far as putting the puck back in play. I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that Mark Howe wanted him to leave one. If he's not sure, he's got to hold it. He has to. Here's a penalty.
It'll be Rob Brown who will go. That will take care of the remaining minute and 20 seconds on the minor to Kartner. The call is cross-checking. And eventually, the Flyers will get their 3rd power play of the game.
You know, Mike, I almost think the way this game is going, the way the Flyers are killing their penalties, as you take a look at the penalty right there on the right of your screen, the 4-on-4 might be as big an advantage to the Penguins as a 5-on-4. It gives Mario Lemieux and Paul Coffey all kinds of room out there.
Good point.
And that's something that you try and deny. Hockey is a simple battle of one team trying to acquire time and space and another team trying to deny it. You try and acquire it in the offensive zone if you're the offensive team. The defensive guys are trying to deny it. But when you got 4-on-4, which we're seeing now, there's a lot more of both of those, time and space.
They have the banger Randy Hillier and the playmaker and smooth skater Paul Coffey out on defense. Up front it is Airy and Lemieux. Buck dealt in on Reggett, wants to hurry it along, got it off the glass and then moves back into his crease as Airy overskates and Samuelson is there to take. Steals it back off and it is worked back out by Eklund onto Brian Prop. Prop moving along with Mark Howe, lays it for Howe. Howe controls, then had it batted away by Airy. Lemieux able to tap it deeper. In 48 seconds, the Flyers will get a man back, and they will have a power play that will last 40 seconds. Puck controlled by Eklund, but he brought himself offside while trying to stick handle, and now a crowd gathers after the call.
Got to be careful when you're out there. Mark Howe wants to get up on the play, and sure, it's a 4-on-4. He obviously knows what he's doing. He's been in more clutch situations than most of these guys combined.
Well, there's another guy playing hurt. You used to think broken bones. No, you don't play a collision sport like hockey, but Randy Hillier's another one. Broken toe, just like Shel Samuelson of the Flyers.
only difference is I think it's one of Hilliard's middle toes. I think it's the one next to his big toe. I'm not sure how that happens, to be honest with you, the way the skate is built. Here's Eklund going offside. Watch how long it takes Bob Airy to get close to him. Not long. Velcro hockey, boy. You don't have much time. That's why 4-on-4 is kind of a breath of air out there for a while for all the players on the ice.
Ron Sutter and Lemieux for the tie-up. Then Dineen comes by to joust with Sutter. Puck taken, though, by Jim Johnson. In half a minute, the Flyers will get a man back, and they'll have a 5-on-4. 8 minutes, 42 seconds to go in the second period of our game. The Flyers are playing without Ron Hextall, who's injured, and lead 2-1. Sinisalo checks with Dineen, tries to work further, carried off, but Sutter a drive, and that fought the glass. Around it comes toward Wells, given a good hit by Kevin Stevens. Puck picked up and lugged further by Jimmy Johnson. Johnson watched by Samuelson. Still controlling. Has Stevens moved to the front, but Samuelson just all over him like an octopus. Two-a-side battle, and the fourth man, Wells, able to steer it away. Tocchet sends it out to Sutter. They've got the man from the penalty box now. It is worked by Tocchet for that man, Terry Kartner. Couldn't control, but recovered. So to Lemieux. Missing on the check of Lemieux was Ron Sutter. He's slow to get up. Back up ice with this now comes Hannon. His shot, and that one trickled wide as Sutter has come to the bench. Meanwhile, you watch Mark Howe dump one off for Kerr. Kerr unable to take. It is drilled back further by Busquets. 12 seconds to go on the shortened Flyers power play. 21 shots Penguins, 17 shots for the Flyers. Dave Poulin's shorthanded goal broke the tie here midway in the second period. Fuller to drive, and that one went wide. Off it hops, and Tocchet got it back to Howe. Wrist shot. Oh, and it went behind Barrasso. Scooped up by Tocchet. Tries to bounce it in. Big scramble in the crease. And they hang on.
Well, Tom Barrasso ended up down again and unable to get up. The Flyers couldn't get a handle on it because the puck was behind the net. On Mark Howe's shot, Barrasso went down. He's never able to get back up. He ends up on his back a lot. But there you saw Tocchet behind the goal line. All he could hope for was a carom maybe off of Barrasso or somebody moving through that could help him out. See, Tocchet, he was actually behind the goal line. And Barrasso has ended up down and on his back so much in this series. I mean, in that sense, Barrasso and Wendell Young are the only two goalies, and they play on the same team. The only two goalies I know in the NHL that end up on their back like that when they go down.
I don't know if Barrasso would have been able to recover to get that. Zarley Zalapski, as you got a good chance to see, scooped it right into him. And so with the teams at full strength, and big man Tim Kerr entering this game tonight, having gotten 3 consecutive 2-goal games for the Flyers, the puck comes back over to Chychrun. Off it came for Pelle Eklund. He reaches, so does Stevens. Stevens prevails on to Lemieux. Across it comes for Quinn. Big drive, fought off by Reggett. It is Chychrun, and Lemieux couldn't take it from him as Chychrun bounces one that's directed further by Ilka Sinisalo. Playing just his second game since January. Now it is Kartner trying to step away. Hacked at by Stevens. Kartner can't get through. We get a stoppage of play, and a slashing call is coming up. The Flyers will have another power play. With 6 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the second period, it's the Flyers 2 and the Penguins 1.
We're not going to pay a lot for quality at Meineke.
Kevin Stevens was a little too aggressive with the stick, trying to track down Terry Kartner. Watch it. Watch the swat right there. That was called a slash by Don Koharski, appropriately so in my mind, and the Flyers are on a power play again. 6:58 to go in the second. 2-1. It's a tight 7th game.
Mark Howe moves in, then gives to Murphy. Hurries it over. Bullard to drive, and that blocked off by Barrasso. Picking it up is Tocchet. Back it comes to Murphy. Murphy then to Bullard. At the front, Tocchet and Kerr. Bullard takes a look. Tocchet shakes loose, but the puck came back to Murphy. Then over to Howe. Howe with a drive. Stick save made by Barrasso. Rebound! And that knocked down and trapped by Tom Barrasso in goal. Tim Kerr sat down by Loney after the whistle. What marvelous goaltending we're seeing at both ends.
Flyers were desperately trying to get to the rebound because there was another sitting down save that Tom Barrasso made after that shot. Good play by Murphy over to Mark Howe. Play goes in, Barrasso goes down, ends up sitting down again.
Not Not an admirable technique, I guess, to teach youngsters, is it?
No, I've mentioned this before. Tom Barrasso thrives on his athletic ability. It is not his technique. It's not a textbook technique at all, but it sure works for him.
Tim Kerr poised for this one. He will not take the face-off. Instead, to his left, it'll be Mike Bullard up against Mario Lemieux. A minute 36 still to go on the Stevens slashing minor. Barrasso hooked this one along the boards. It swirled back toward Howe, knocked from him by Lemieux. Lemieux and Howe test the boards, and along comes Rick Tocchet barreling into Loney. Still the battle on, and Lemieux able to step away. Mario Lemieux steps in, tries to shake by Murphy. No sale there, and it is Kerr connecting with Bullard. Watched by Deneen. Mike Bullard pivots, still holding on for the Flyers. Now cranks one, and that went off the stick of Deneen and wide. Lemieux just drills it back off of Murphy and down. Halfway through the power play.
Murphy even got a piece of that one. He is absolutely amazing. That was a foot off the ice that Lemieux dumped down the ice, and Goy Murphy got a piece of it.
It is Kartner banking one, and here is Airy. Oh, and the pass went by Hannon. And Reagan out to swing it once off the boards and then check with Hannon as Kartner came by. Kartner's pass is on the money to Kerr. Shakes it ahead for Tocchet. Tocchet up the wing for Bullard, but it was back checked away by Airy. Driven back off for Hannon, and Hannon lifts it back. Penguins have killed off 90 seconds of this Flyers power play. Moving in with it is Tocchet. Taken to the boards hard by Buskus. Zalewski is there. Punched it through Tocchet. Pinching is Kartner. Still they lock up, and Tocchet jabbed it away to Pelle Eklund. Eklund trying to shake away. Now moves out to the front. For Kartner, a drive that went wide. There'll be a penalty coming up. Dave Hannon is over, and the penalty will be against the Flyers. The Penguins work on a delayed call. 5 seconds left to go on the minor to Stevens as it's touched up by the Flyers, and the call will be interference.
Well, it has been a no-nonsense kind of approach by Don Koharski. And one thing in my mind comes to mind when Don Koharski's name is mentioned as being the referee for a game, and that is, I think you're going to get just a straightforward type of call. Don Koharski calls his own game.
He has exceptional judgment, doesn't he? And that's why so often he winds up in 7th games. I was just going back over the last 5 years. Don Koharski has had 7 of these, and he's had one every season for the last 5 years.
See if we can pick up this action in front here, the penalty. I didn't see it.
I was looking to see whether it might have been with the goaltender because Tocchet was right out in front of the net, but didn't notice it there. Here is Coffey drilling it off the boards, and Propp is there. Now it's the Penguins on the power play. The 3 seconds to Stevens are up. It is Cullen, watched by Mark Howe. John Cullen taps back, and Bork is there. Then to Cullen, shakes it back to Paul Coffey. Across for Cullen, tipped away by Howe. Then to Cullen once more. Gave it behind him, Lemieux with a quick pass. Unable to read it was Stevens. Banked along for Cullen. Cullen watched by Howe, and the puck behind to Lemieux. Lemieux back to Cullen. Short side shot is blocked away. Chipped along again, and pivoting with it is Stevens. Stevens working the outside to Lemieux, who directs traffic and then passes back to Coffey. Coffey fires one. Stick save made by Reagan. And he's able to hang on to get the stoppage of play.
For a moment, Paul Coffey had nobody in front. Kevin Stevens finally got there, so Coffey decided to let her rip. All of the attack from the Penguins seems to come from up high, not from down low. They don't like working plays in behind the net. Good toe save by Reagan. And that's Stevens right there biting the dust.
That block by Reagan becomes the 23rd save for the surprise goaltender. 24 Pittsburgh shots. Again, late in the second, 2-1 Flyers. If you're just joining us, we'll mention again, you're probably looking for Ron Hextall in goal, but a first-degree sprain of his right knee has kept him out of action tonight. He's not even dressed. Mark Laporte is the backup. Drive! Oh, and that hit the outside of the goal. That came from Zalewski. Lemieux quickly back to Paul Coffey. Coffey then to Zalewski. Another drive, and that's blocked down by Reagan, and he hangs on. Flyers had done a good job in front because Reggett could see that one steaming in all along.
That's the perfect point, Mike. The Flyers have done a good job of letting him see the puck, and I don't care how good your shot is. This is a long way out, but there's a soft pass for the one-time shot. Mark Howe had good position on Rob Brown, so he just stood there. There was no way Rob Brown was going to get by him. See this? Reagan saw that all the way, right at him. I still don't think those are high-percentage plays at all. The Flyers defense have done a good job of letting both Hextall earlier in the series and Reagan see those shots.
Well, you see the two scrappers ready to go at it. First Dan Quinn of Pittsburgh, and now Ron Sutter. Typical of Sutter's, never stopped trying and never tried stopping. They just don't do it. What a season he's had, and he missed 22 games with a broken jaw. On now comes Kjell Samuelsson. And Samuelsson just lays it back in deep, so the Penguins will regroup. They still have plenty of time. 45 seconds to go on this power play. 3:40 to go in the second period. On now comes Paul Coffey. Tries to shake through. Mark Howe says no, but coming barreling by. That time was Quinn. Laid it back over to Mario Lemieux. Looks towards Zalapsky, but controls. Now Zalapsky pulls the trigger, and that ricocheted off of Reggett and wide. Dumped right back along to Quinn. Van Quinn close quarters with Coffey. Then back along it came for Brown. Sealed up by Mark Howe. Samuelsson trying to pull it loose. It is chopped along toward Brian Propp. Worked it further, and Coffey unable to hold it in. I'm just thinking now, as Coffey turned, that would have been on his backhand, and it is his right hand that would be holding that stick that is the weak one. Back one now they come, and it is Zalapsky trying to get by Kartner. Tried to float one in front, and it skipped across the goal mouth wide. Penalty time is up. Wrist shot by Zalapsky, knocked down in front by Kartner. Still they work for it, and Kartner able to chip it away, and out with it comes Derek Smith. Leads it ahead to Pelle Eklund. They've got a 3-on-2. The drop is to Tuckett. The drive, pass up, rebound. Another save by Barrasso. Wonderful action in this game tonight. Lemieux drops it back in. To get it is Reggett. Down to the ice goes the Penguin, and he's covering up. Meanwhile, it is Mario Lemieux trying to shake to keep it in, but can't. Derek Smith works it back onto Tuckett. He's tripped up. The Penguin has headed to the bench, and that was Paul Coffey. We get a stoppage of play on a two-line pass, and the clock is frozen with 2:23 to go in an exhilarating second period. It's 2-1 in favor of the Flyers.
Paul Coffey has been going all out in this hockey game. So is Lemieux, so is everybody. In Game 7, nobody takes lazy steps. And remember this save as this game goes on, depending on what happens. A couple of saves. The first one on Tuckett. The second one right there on Derek Smith. Boy, oh boy, that's that athletic ability that we were talking about. A couple of pretty strong efforts by Tom Barrasso right there.
Puck came back to Murphy, and he hammered it along. Skipped across where Dineen tried to play. Sinicello forces from him. Hannon battling with Sinicello along the boards, and stepping ahead with it is Dineen. Tipped one along that it is now Callender eventually able to outlet on to Bork. And Bork eyed up by Murphy. Bork trying to go by. Short-sider. That blocked away by Reggett. Doesn't see it, but it's in the possession of Mike Bullard. Under 2 minutes to play in the second period. The teams are at even strength again. Moving back in is Callender. Floats one off the boards that Reggett is able to stop. Hurtling to the ice that time was Bill Bork. With it is Tim Kerr. And it's Kerr with a pass that is right on the money to Mike Bullard. Bullard trying to work his way through Jim Johnson, but can't do it. Strong play by Johnson as now Kerr is taken to the wall by Bork. Help came from nearby Dineen. Gord Dineen, the defenseman for the Penguins, leading it back out. Eyed up by Gord Murphy. Big drive by Dineen, and that one sticked into the seats by Reggett.
Boy, the Penguins' defense on that last rush seemed to give up the blue line a little easy, but Phil Bork came all the way back in and rode Tim Kerr out of the play. As you look at Dave Hannon, one of the foot soldiers on this Penguins team, kills penalties. Hardly ever takes a regular shift, but ends up with quite a bit of ice time, depending on what the score is. Late in hockey games when the Penguins are ahead, you'll see Dave Hannon on the ice quite a bit. Was happy to come back here to Pittsburgh after spending a short time in Edmonton. John Cullen here goes into the net.
tonight. He's gone to the hospital with a possible ruptured spleen. Acton of the Flyers. This one floated back off, came all the way down on Tom Barrasso. Barrasso shovels it ahead, and that one clinks off a glass support, came back out to Poulin, guides it in on his backhand, and to take it is Randy Hillier. Hillier in the final minute of the second period of play starts to move it for the Penguins. Both teams have scored in this period. The Flyers had a goal in the first. They lead in the game 2-1. Back to get this is Mark Howe. Icing is called against the Penguins. And now something after the whistle behind the net, Troy Loney and Shel Samuelson, but that quickly broken up. All the way back down, it'll come on Barrasso once more.
Well, obviously a key face-off for the Penguins. And, you know, here in Game 5, in the 10-7 game, Gino Briaco started using Mario Lemieux late in the hockey game for key face-offs. And up until that time, I'd never looked at Lemieux as a good face-off guy, but I've been watching him tonight. He has won a lion's share of his draws tonight, even in the Flyers zone. And he is out there to be the bread-and-butter guy against Dave Poulin here with 51 seconds to go. So as Lemieux has gotten better in the playoffs, Gino Briaco has decided to stick with them. That's a good observation. That's astute. You got to go with the guys that are doing it for you, and you might as well put the pressure on the big guy.
Another of the big guys has it now. Paul Coffey able to pull away from Derek Smith, right back in Smith territory, but the pass came to Loney. Flipped one in that bounced off Reggett, but he's able to hang on, and then hurtling over him was Mark Howe.
Well, that's one of the first rebounds that Ken Reggett has had trouble controlling, but it didn't take him long to smother it as soon as it popped out in front. And that's the difference between Reggett and Ron Hextall. Ron Hextall likes to put a lot of pucks back into play. Ken Reggett wants to make the save, make sure it's safe first. Might have seen Bob Airy take a pretty good poke at it. Watch this. Right at Reggett, bounces out. Watch Airy. Right there. There's his poke. Boy, that is a pretty good.
Paul Coffey leveled quite a shove on Mark Howe, sending him catapulting over Ken Reggett.
It didn't hurt him, but as Howe was getting up, you may have noticed he was turned talking to Koharski, asking about the penalty that wasn't called.
37 seconds to go in the second. That man will try to win a face-off from that man. Must be 150 or so face-offs in this series that these two have been in against one another. Seemingly all of the big ones, especially as Bill was mentioning late in the game, they've involved Lemieux, and a lot of the key ones involved Sutter. Coffey has to retreat to center ice and is forced off by Scott Mellenby. Poulin trying to step ahead. Too many Penguins there, though, and they outman Poulin, and coming by to get it is Coffey, but down to the ice went Scott Mellenby, and we get a penalty call coming up here, and I believe it will be Randy Cunnyworth who will go. We'll have to wait to see. Interference is the call, and it is Coffey who will sit.
Cunnyworth was riding Poulin into the boards. There's the hold right there. Boy, I'll tell you what. That is a gutsy call, and Don Koharski has just basically treated this like it was a preseason game. He's been consistent. He called Kevin Stevens on a slash. Somebody else might have let it go in the 7th game, not Don Koharski. He calls that one. So with 25 seconds to go, the Flyers will have a bit of power play. If they don't score on it, they got 1:35 to work with at the start of the 3rd.
This will be the Flyers' 6th power play of the game. Penguins have had 7. Ahead with this shorthanded comes Lemieux, shaking it by Howe, and way out to clear it is Reggett. He's out of the goal as he's fallen down, and the puck flipped to the front, grabbed by Reggett. Right on him was Lemieux. Reggett flipped out the blocker toward Lemieux, and a crowd gathers, and Reggett protests to Don Koharski.
Yeah, he protested to Don Koharski, but it was a battle for the puck. When Reggett ended up out there, boy, he's kind of fair game. All Lemieux was doing was going for the puck, and Ken Reggett was able to get to it first and grab it with his glove. And one of them had a trapper on, and the other one didn't. And the guy that had the trapper was able to get it. That was Ken Reggett. Yeah, Ken Reggett. You don't have to worry about Ken Reggett challenging any of the Penguins. Anybody that saw Game 5 here saw Reggett come roaring out of the net when the Flyers were down a man and a brawl started at center ice. But there's Reggett out of the net. By this time, he's lost his stick as well, hasn't he? No, he's still got it, but it's backwards. There was the reach.
Boy, did you see Lemieux have his elbow wrapped around the one pad of Reggett?
That had to be
causing him to go down the first time.
Around his pad, maybe even around his blocker first. That might have been what Reggett was arguing, that he was held, not so much that he was out there and nobody should touch him.
this comes with 14 seconds to go in the second period of what has been a terrific game tonight. I think everyone figures that Classic 7th game should be low scoring, should have a lot of thrilling plays around the nets, both of them, and should feature strong goaltending. And if that's your idea, you've seen it realized here through these first 2 periods tonight. Again, debris a problem here, and they were opening the gate for a moment thinking they might have to bring a shovel out again, but for the final 14, the officials have been able to pick most of it up. So Lemieux and Bullard, former teammates here at Pittsburgh, go at it, and Lemieux tumbles down. Ahead now comes Murphy. Then along to Bullard with 8 seconds to go. Talking a drive, blocked away by Barrasso. To get it is Bullard. Back it comes to Murphy. His shot scooped up by Barrasso. That'll do it on the period. He throws the puck out, and blocker came off too. I had it in the glove, and that happened to Mark LaForest. We didn't have a chance to see it. It was in the warm-up before the game. Had the puck in his glove, and it was just carried right off, too. So Barrasso with a strong performance, and the same can be said by Ken Reggett through the first 2 periods of play. The score of the game, the Flyers 2 and the Penguins 1. Back now to our studio.
All right, Mike Emmerich, thanks very much. And hi again, everybody. Mike Breen along with Stan Fischler. Coming up next, Stan's analysis of that second period. Plus,
who has been superb.